Greetings and good evening. Welcome to the Roundtable, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Tuesday, October the 21st, 2025. Bonsoir, comment ça va? I am Drew, and let's try this again. Part deux. Welcome to week 7 and week 8 of the NFL and NCAA. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize at the very top of this show. We were experiencing some technical difficulties where we had to reboot everything, but here we are live and in color. I talked about week 7 of the NFL having some big separation games. Week 8 of the NCAA definitely having separation games because it is now conference play, where each of these top 4 conferences are going to have to play each other, the powerhouses within those conferences, to prove that they are worthy of going to their conference championship. And this was that separation weekend for both NCAA and the NFL. It is now Tuesday night. We are here to recap not only this past weekend, but to have some engaging conversation with my man Griff, the Roundtable audience. No matter what platform you are joining the show, whether it is Facebook Live, TikTok Live, or YouTube Live, either way, make sure that you are engaging not only in the chat, but sharing your commentary about how your team did this weekend. I got some humble pie to eat later on. We'll talk about that a little later. But I am so happy to be here on this blessed Tuesday evening. Brother Griff, how are we doing on this Tuesday night, my man?
Man, I'm doing real good, my brother. As I as you just mentioned, as you was talking about, I had a great weekend, and actually prior to coming in, I was coming from a 1.5 hour full body massage, so I'm relaxed and ready, and ready for the show, my brother. Ready for the show.
All right. Well, hopefully that massage did what it was supposed to do for you, my man. All right. So let's get into it. You talked about you had a good weekend. You did. We'll talk about your good weekend directly here in a little bit, but I want to talk about the game of the weekend that actually turned out to be the comeback of the year, decade, possibly ever in the regular season of a National Football League game. But before I talk about the comeback, I'm talking about the Giants and the Denver Broncos, by the way. But before I talk about the comeback, I want to do something at the very top of the show that I have not done. And I believe forever in the lifespan of the roundtable. Griff, I want to talk about how impressed I am with the New York Football Giants. And to all of the G men fans out there, you have a reason to be hopeful because since Jackson has started as the quarterback for the New York Football Giants, they've had a couple of big games where they've performed very well against teams that they should have lost to. They beat the defending Super Bowl champs. Rivalry game, got it, but still rookie quarterback. Then you travel to Denver, and we'll talk about the fourth quarter collapse a little later. But for 50 minutes of this game, 54 minutes of this game as pertains to the clock, you had Denver on the ropes at home. You had Denver almost shut out at home. Your defense not only showed up, but your young quarterback played almost flawlessly. Your rookie running back is really making a name for himself. How impressed are you with the Giants' play, being that you know them so well in your division? One, and do you foresee how they are currently playing being able to save Coach Dabo's job at the end of the year?
Uh, I'm impressed as well. Let me go ahead and say that first up. They look like a totally different team than what they looked like when they first started this season off. Let's just say that. Watching how they started with Russell Wilson, and now you got the young dart, what everybody wanted to see. Him and Scatterboo has definitely reinvigorated this team. And I'm gonna be honest, the defense looked pretty good too. So I think they're gonna be a team to be reckoned with. I don't think it'll be this year, and I really don't think that they're gonna be able to save Dabo's job. And I will tell you, and when we get ready to start talking about the game from when they played Denver, that'll be my reason why they can't save his job. Because I can't put this on the rookie on how the outcome of that game came. This was strictly coaching, man. But yeah, I am surprised on how they playing right now.
So this game is the perfect example of the New York Football Giants over the past 5, 6, 7 years since they drafted Danny Dimes coming out of Duke to replace Eli Manning right after he retired. They've shown signs that we could possibly be not only competitive within the division, but across the National Football Conference because there are sparks there. You have playmakers on that team. Got it. Your number one receiver is out with an ACL, torn ACL, but you found something in both the run game and in Jackson Dart's ability to not only scan the defense, but to play offense in a way to where you can play keep away at times. But at the same time, the fourth quarter shows you why the New York Football Giants are the New York Football Giants in the past 5, 6 years, and why Brian Daboll's job is in jeopardy and most likely will not be saved, no matter how they. Well, I won't say no matter how they end the season, but if they don't have a winning record, then his job will definitely not be saved. The fourth quarter collapse is 1,000% coaching. There are so many plays that we can identify or calls that were made by the coaching staff that we can identify that one defies logic, two led to Denver not having to use timeouts to conserve time early on in their comeback, three just piss poor offensive play calling in the last 3, 4 minutes of the game for the New York Football Giants because you were supposedly playing 4 minute football to play keep away because you had the lead after allowing Denver to come back. When in the history of the regular season has a team allowed a opponent to come back from 33 points or score 33 points in the fourth quarter, come back from being down 19 with 5 minutes left to get in the game and blow it like, just another Sunday?
It was embarrassing, man. I sat there and I watched the Giants dominate this whole game. The Giants, and it's crazy to say that the Giants dominated this whole game, especially when they play against a defense like the Denver Broncos. But they did. They was leading this game, like you say, with 5 minutes and 33 seconds left. The score was what 26-8.
Mm-hmm.
All you gotta do, we throwing the ball, and that's where he threw the ball, and he got an interception. Gave Denver the ball back again. Then you go and you down here is third down or whatever with 3 minutes and something left, and you throw the ball and you stop the clock and you turn it back over to Denver. All that is coaching, brother, because at the end of the day, even if the interception that Jackson Dart threw down there in that time, it's no way that the Denver Broncos should have had an opportunity to come back in this game. Scatterboo, I'm gonna tell you right now, it would have been Scatterboo left, it would have been Scatterboo right. But at the end of the day, even if Denver stopped him, I would have been draining that clock. At least 2, 3 minutes could have ran off the clock by running the ball instead of trying to pass the ball. That is strictly coaching. I'm going into it. We do not audible. I don't care how they line up, run the ball. We have put enough points on the board to run this clock out, and that was strictly on Dabo right there.
Yeah. There is no excuse. There is no explanation. There is no justification. There is no play calling sequence that Dabo can refer to say that, hey, this was not the primary reason. I am not the reason we lost that game. So it is what it is. Awesome, awesome comeback. One for the highlights, one for the record books for the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton. But y'all didn't win this game. The Giants lost this game. The Giants gave this game to you on a silver platter by not playing any type of aggressive style of defense in the fourth quarter, playing not to lose, which automatically means that you're most likely going to lose. I don't know why teams do that. Just continue to play that you've played for the past 50 plus minutes, and you should still get the same type of result. Come on, let's get with it. Heck, coaches. But Giants are going to be better. They did show me that they will make some noise and possibly be a spoiler in the NFC East this season. It seems like, we could have a I won't say a 3-horse race for the division title, but we'll see how it unfolds here over the next calendar month or so. So, congratulations to both teams. They got a bright future ahead. Now, this next game, man, was a big game last night that I was looking forward to. It was the game of the weekend for me, and was going to be able to answer some questions for both of these two teams, at least in my opinion, right? Whether or not Detroit was going to be taken for real and be able to bounce back after a loss against the Chiefs at home in a 3-1-3, and or whether or not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the best team, not only in the NFC, but possibly in the NFL by going to Detroit that has won a whole bunch of games the past 3 years at home and get a dub while being injured, while being hobbled, but being that team that is almost like the team of destiny, the cardiac kids that just find a way to win in the end. Well, last night we kind of saw that when you got injuries and you go up against another good team that got a running game, bruh, did Detroit put a statement on not only this game, but on their ability to run the ball at will when they really try?
I told you on Friday, defense. I said the best defense that Detroit can have would be their offense, and their offense played keep the ball away. Really, they did because that daggone Jameer Gibbs, every time he touched the ball, he accounted for about 200 yards in that game for them. But it was like I knew what the kid could do. I seen it at Alabama. Matter of fact, I felt like he was underutilized at the University of Alabama. But last
What?
night, I think I think that I think Baker then was just too wounded. I thought that he would still have a chance because of Detroit Lions secondary,
Yeah.
but with that injury to Mike Evans was crucial. But the Detroit Lions secondary, with all those injuries, they stepped up and played last night too. So man, it was an excellent game. Another one of those games that I was like, okay, this looking like the Lions that we thought the Lions could be, man. With Jameer Gibbs and Montgomery wasn't that much of a fact. He touched the ball every now and then, but that daggone Jameer Gibbs looked like a grown man out there playing with little kids. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna turn it over to you because for whatever reason, the comments is not sure. What Jordan and I already said that because of the AWS outage, we can't see the comments. So what I do, I can see some comments up here because Troy is still being Troy on here, and Fred said we them darts. So but I just want y'all to know me and Drew are not avoiding y'all questions or ignoring y'all questions right now because of the AWS outage that they had here the last day or so. We can't see the comments, but as I see them on my Facebook Live, I'll make sure that I talk to you.
And that's what
Yes,
I'm talking
yes,
about,
sure.
man.
I do have to bring Alabama up. Every opportunity I get to bring Alabama and the Cowboys up, I'm gonna do it. I'm pretty sure you would like to bring the Raiders up in South Carolina, but ain't nobody to talk about.
True that, true that. So I'm assuming that question came from Troy.
That's
But
that's
hey, you know how we do, baby. We find multiple means to communicate. So we're going to use multiple platforms to make sure that your message is being heard and received from us, and we are chewing on it, dialoguing about it, and then spitting it back out. So I appreciate that update, Griffin, letting everybody know about our technical difficulties and the reason that we may or may not be engaging in the chat in real time. But what this game proved to me was that when committed, the Detroit Lions can run the ball. Yeah, Montgomery wasn't really a focal point last night because Jameer Gibbs was on something. He was on one, as many of us would say. And I do believe, going back to your previous statement, yeah, he was underutilized at Alabama, but Nick Saban has a system, and it is what it is. But what Detroit showed me against this Tampa Bay team, even though Tampa Bay was injured, even though that, Mike Evans didn't spend a lot of time back on the field before getting that concussion, that their offensive efficiency was not clicking last night because Detroit completely dominated this game. The score did not reflect it, but Detroit left at least 14 to 21 points on the board in the first half by going for it on fourth down in the red zone, not getting it, got it, it happens. But you're talking at least 6 to 14 to 21 points throughout that first half that they left on the field. And they were in complete control. Gibbs was just running circles around the Tampa Bay defense. And what it shows me that it's all about scheming and matchups. And what Detroit is capable of doing is making sure that we have the ability to not only utilize Gibbs and Montgomery, but Amara St.
Saint
Right.
Brown.
He went off last night, and we didn't even bring up Williams, who is the deep threat.
Yeah,
So,
they did.
and you mentioned the defensive backfield that it seemed like everybody was trying out last night. Everybody played above their weight class. Everybody overperformed. I would not look for that to happen on a week-to-week basis because those gaps are going to eventually show themselves. And like you mentioned, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were injured on the offensive side, and Detroit just had a phenomenal game plan. Detroit
Yeah,
showed that they're one of the top two teams in the NFC, though.
they
Right?
have Brian Branch back. Branch was, the key to that secondary is Branch, and he was suspended because of that daggone
Right.
hidden juju lad. But he'll be back. He had a 1 game suspension, but those guys held their own last night.
Yeah. So both of these two teams will continue to be good. Both of these two teams will continue to be a presence in the NFC, and we'll see who is standing come Thanksgiving weekend, heading into December. All right, now this next one, ladies and gentlemen, nobody wants to say it, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles. They are a pass first team. Stop trying to convince yourself that you still have that lightning in the bottle of we are a run first team from 2024. That team no longer exists. Your offensive line no longer has that same ability to blow people off the line. The tush push is going to fail you here in the upcoming weeks. You are barely holding on to the tush push success. But the 2025 passing Philadelphia Eagles are a team to be reckoned with because just like any other team that has two number one receivers, this team has two number one receivers that can get you the ball, get the ball down the field, and put the ball into the end zone. And that's exactly what they did when they traveled to Minnesota this past weekend. Going against a Minnesota team that is still trying to figure it out because they don't know who their starting quarterback is going to be for the remainder of the calendar year and for the remainder of the season. In my opinion, even when McCarthy is back, they are now having some buyer's remorse. I truly believe that with Sam Darnold heading over to the great Northwest. But Griff, those Philadelphia Eagles, Adrian's Philadelphia Eagles, Fred's Fly Eagles Fly. Are they accepting that what A.J. Brown has been screaming the past calendar month that throw me the damn ball and we gonna win? Are they gonna finally go pass first, or will Sirianni still try to pound the ball, pound the ball, pound the ball?
I think they're gonna do whatever it takes, man. I mean, it's based off of what the other opposing team give them. I'm gonna tell you what I like to see the most, and again, Troy ain't going to hit this, but it ain't so much AJ Brown. It's getting the ball in into the Slim Reaper hand, man. Devontae is that guy, man. Devontae is what opened up these opportunities for AJ Brown. People be sleeping on Devontae, but Devontae is the lone ball threat, and that's what Jalen was threw the ball. That's who had the most yards this weekend. But this is what I'm gonna tell you. The Eagles defense, they are not the Eagles defense of old either, brother.
Oh no.
Look, Minnesota was in the red zone 6 times yesterday and had to set up for field goals 5 of those 6 times, even when Carson went through 2 interceptions. What does that say about the Eagles defense? Hey, because everybody ain't going down there kicking field goals. That's all I'm saying. Carson Wentz didn't have his best game, and they still was in this game against this team right here. No Saquon, and they gonna have to figure that out because again, all these teams in already. That's what most of these teams are lined up for. So what did the Eagles do? They played with what Minnesota gave them, and that is okay. Y'all don't settle for stopping the run. Hey, let me get the ball to my guys, and he did. He got it to Goddard. He got it to to Devontae. He got it to AJ, man. But I'm still not sold on this year's Eagles yet. Even though you call them a receiving team now, I'm not sold because of the defense.
Man, that creates a very, and I do mean a very good and interesting question, right? Because I know we were joking around before the show about the Cowboys being the number one team in the National Football League, but the Eagles winning key big games. 90% of football fans who follow the NFL would clearly say that the Eagles of 2025 are not the same as the Eagles of 2024, both on the offensive side and on the defensive side, because the stats show it, the numbers show it, and your eyeballs show it. So, are we constantly saying that simply because it is just win, baby? I don't care how we do it. I don't care if we're pretty. I don't care whether or not we blow people out, or I don't care if we win by 1 point every single week, 15 or 14, and have less than 100 yards passing, have less than 100 yards rushing, but we create a couple of turnovers. Does that make us a good team, or are we just struggling to stay above water and our record just so happens to be 5-2? Which is it with the Eagles? And we all know that the Dallas Cowboys has the top offense in the league. We saw it this weekend against a very good Washington Commanders team that we're going to talk about in a minute. But what do you have more confidence in? A team that no matter what it takes, we find a way to win? Or do you have more confidence in a team that you know going to give you 30 points on offense, a la the 2024 Cincinnati Bengals?
Again, man, defense win championships, brother. It don't require a whole bunch of scoring, but it does require a team that can stop the scoring, because you can have a team that can put up points. I mean, hell, my Cowboys improve; they can put points up. But if you don't have nobody on the other side to stop it, that's where it comes, that complementary football. And again, the good teams, believe it or not, the good teams have those type of wins sometimes where they do whatever they got to do to win. And so right now, hey, how they say the beat a man, you got to beat a man. And as much as I hate to say it, the Eagles are the man right now because they defending champions. And until somebody knock them off that totem pole, and they doing what they got to do, I still think there'll be a team that we looking at the end of the season that's competing for the championship.
Okay. So you answered your own question, right?
Yeah. What question was that?
You're not impressed, but they are the best team in your division.
I ain't gonna say they the best. It is some gaps there, man. I'm just saying.
No, every team has gaps. I understand.
It's some huge gaps. The Minnesota Vikings in the red zone 6 times.
I know. I got it. Carson Wentz and a couple of turnovers. I understand. I got it. This is a game that Minnesota most likely should have come back and won because they shut Saquon down.
Just like everybody else been doing this year.
So that run game that y'all have been hanging your hat on, and nobody has asked it. Well, I mean, I know you mentioned it on Friday, but we haven't said one iota about the offensive coordinator and the type of plays that are being called. I know you mentioned on Friday that Nick Sirianni was going to take the play calling back. Other than the deep passes to the Slim Reaper, as you mentioned, it was ball control, right? And you didn't see a lot of separation in the passing game other than AJ having big numbers, Devontae having big, Dallas Goedert had a good game, and a perfect passer rating for your guy, Jalen Hurts, right? He had a phenomenal passing game. But still, many people are not impressed with the Philadelphia Eagles. Just an interesting question. You know, the conversation obviously is going to continue, but what will it take for them to impress us is now the question. What will it take?
You know, we are hard. You know, society is a hard customer to satisfy, man. So
I tell you what, that is a great point to make, because if Dallas scores 10 points, all of Cowboy Nation is easily impressed. But I guess y'all are over the moon right now because this is y'all year, right? This is y'all year. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the Dallas Cowboys are, I BS you not. They have the number one offense,
Yeah.
in the National Football League, and it shows every time they step on the field in 2025, right? George Pickens has been balling out, especially during CeeDee Lamb's injury. But CeeDee Lamb returned back this weekend, and we all saw what he did. He came back with no limitations. Doesn't look like he's hobbled by that ankle sprain at all. So look for Dallas to continue to have the pedal to the metal for the remainder of the season, knowing, not assuming, knowing that not only do we have to outscore the opponent, but what Griff mentioned a few minutes ago, defense wins championships. And Dallas is looking to buck the odds by being one of those one teams that has the top offense in the National Football League and a bottom feeder on defense, and still be able to balance that out to make a deep run into the playoffs. But first things first, you had Washington Commanders coming in this weekend. Jaden Daniels, my guy, I thought he was going to have a field day. Your defense did something that they haven't done all year. They actually showed up to the game and played a little bit. You impressed by your Cowboys defense? Or are you hopeful by your Cowboys defense? Or are you happy to see these back?
I mean, I'm not even going to talk about the offensive side of the ball because the offensive side of the ball is we everybody know about the offensive side of the ball. It's they can go down there and score. I was
Cooking with
more
hot
impressed
grease,
with the defense,
fish grease.
huh?
I said you cooking with
I
hot
was
fish
I was
grease.
more I was more impressed with the defensive side of the ball because they've been doing what I've been asking them to do all year. One, we blitzed. We've been playing zone all season, and teams been eating us up in that zone defense all year. We played a lot more man to man, and we blitzed more. With that, we was able to sack them. We got a pick six. We had four sacks, one fumble, and a pick six because of being able to put pressure. My offense, I'm not worried about it. What the only thing I was gonna be worried about was CD coming back in and Dak trying to force the ball to CD. He still spreaded the ball around. Even with CD back, he spreaded the ball around. He still got the seven different receivers in this game. And that's gonna be the key to the Cowboys offense still doing what they're doing. If we get to that point where we start forcing the ball and he realized he don't have to do that now. The reason Dak is the way he is right now is just like having CD and Amari Cooper again. We're having Pickens. Now he has options. It makes them dangerous. And we ain't even talking about Williams back there. We got a 100-yard rusher, one of the top rushers in the game. When you got that right there, that's awesome. But we only can go as far as our defense. And if the defense show up and play half the way they did this weekend, and I know the Commanders fans, well, Jalen got hurt. It's part of the game. Yeah. Marcus Mariota is not a Cooper Rush. He is actually a much better quarterback. We didn't have Debo. We didn't have McClure. I really don't care. That's your problem. It ain't a Cowboy problem. Hey, the next
He
people
said we didn't have Trayvon Diggs. No.
Hey, I'm so glad Trey, but don't even get me started about that, man. Bubba Dub said Trey Boy opened his mouth to somebody at the house and they gave him a concussion. Talking about he got hurt and got a concussion at home during football season. Hey, he ain't getting paid, man. But the defense is what surprised me. That's what I was surprised on yesterday, Drew. It wasn't the offense. They not already proved all year what they capable of. It was the defensive play, and I think because this was going to be the game that Eberflus was definitely getting fired. That's all I can say. And he ain't off the hook yet, but he just bought himself some more time.
I am impressed by the Cowboys. I am impressed by the Cowboys offense. I understand all of the injuries that every team has, and Washington having injuries coming into the game, suffering a key injury to your starting quarterback, who I believe possessed the escapability to just chew up Dallas's defense, but it didn't happen. So I got to give the Dallas Cowboys their just due. I'm impressed by the defense on this occasion. What I am impressed about more than the defense is how well George Pickens is feeding off of CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb is feeding off of George Pickens when they are playing on the field together thus far this year. And it's only going to improve because CeeDee Lamb understands this. I am one alpha on this team. I already got my 35 plus a year. George Pickens is in his contract year. We are if not the same age, 1 or 2 years apart. So we know exactly what each other is going through. We know the process. We know that George Pickens is playing for that long-term, big-time, $35 million a year deal as well. And I want him to eat just like I want everybody else to eat. Right? We're both SEC guys. He played at Georgia. I
Georgia,
played at
Pickens played at
Oklahoma.
Georgia.
Right?
He
But
wasn't in the SEC. He wasn't in the SEC then, though. See, Oklahoma wasn't part of the SEC then. We ain't gonna count him as an SEC guy.
well, I'm gonna count him simply because he a Louisiana
He
boy.
from Louisiana. I knew it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
knew it.
he an Opelousas, Louisiana boy, so he gonna get that SEC love from me. But man, if those two stay healthy, this could be one of those. Both of them are gonna get 1,000 yards receiving. Both of them should get 10+ touchdowns each this year if Dak is healthy and stays healthy. So I am impressed by the Cowboys. I don't know how Jerry Jones did it, but he didn't do it. It's just the luck of the draw. It's the luck of the draw as to how efficient the offense is thus far this season. So kudos to the Cowboys, everybody. This is their year. They're gonna disappoint us in January like they the next game, man. This was a statement game for me. The Indianapolis Colts being able to travel to Los Angeles now. This is the team that's starting to take a step back from me, the Chargers, right? They came out the daggone gate this season huffing and puffing and blowing out. No, well, not blowing out, but blowing down proverbial Wolves in one, the Kansas City Chiefs, and then followed that up against the Denver Broncos, right? Right out the gate, they've beaten the top two teams or their top two rivals in the division. So I'm thinking they were going to be something. Man, they've dropped like 2 or 3 games in a row now. Are they the Chargers to be taken seriously, or did they, that team, once again, with all the talent, can't even win at home? The Colts, now, on the other hand, is this Indiana Jones reborn? Or is it that Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, is just riding a 2025 high and will eventually come back down to earth? Is he having that season that he had in the Giants playoff season? Or is he going to be what we know Daniel Jones to be? Which is it, Griff? Now,
Man,
I know the Colts offense is much better, but which?
you paused on me there. I can speak now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll just check it. I don't want to rudely interrupt. Hey, we got to put respect on Danny Dimes' name, man. That's all I'm gonna say. We got to put respect on it. I told you on Friday. I said this will be the game that will truly determine whether or not Danny Jones is for real or as you say, he's suspect. And really, to be honest, it ain't really Danny Dimes, man. He's with a better system where he had a running back up there with the Giants, but he also has a much better defense than he had when he's up there with the Giants, man. The score does not depict just how dominant the coach was in this game. They was dominant in this game. Taylor had his way running the ball in this game. Danny Dimes was running around every now and then throwing the ball. But the defense was dominant too. And Herbert, hey, all them people, they still try to make him that guy. He started out, I even said he was looking much better than he looked in the past. But I would tell you, man, Herbert was giving them a candy this weekend too. And they don't have a running game. That is people. We talk about that every week, and everybody be like, "Oh, Griff sound like a broken record." But I'm gonna tell you, man, your teams can only go as far. It's only one team I know that won Super Bowls but really never had a running game, and that's the Patriots. But they use their short passing game as a running game.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else is doing that. Last year proved just how valuable the running game is to your team and to your squad. The top teams last year had 1,000-yard rushes last year. Hell, two of them almost had 2,000-yard rushes last year. The Chargers don't have that, and being this is a hardball team, I thought that would be one of the things he focused on, running the ball and defense. But Danny Dimes and his squad had their way with them yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. And I still haven't been able to put my finger on as to why the Indianapolis Colts have made such a leap. Now, I got it, the offensive philosophy with the young head coach who came over from the Eagles after their Super Bowl year a couple of years ago, is something that is going to generate success. But as you mentioned, the defensive prowess that they've been able to display, no matter where they are this season, home or away, they show up every single weekend, right? And you talked about how Jonathan Taylor is the best running back in the NFL in 2025 with the biggest numbers, and it's something that we knew he always had in his pocket because he's shown it in the past, and it just seems like they now have the offensive approach that the Philadelphia Eagles had last year,
Yeah.
and it's being successful for them. So I'm impressed with the Colts. I don't see them taking a step back. I think they've taken control of the AFC South with Jacksonville losing a couple of key games in the past few weeks, and the struggles that the Texans are going through, and Tennessee is not going to even be a factor in 2025. So I think the Colts are going to be a team that a lot of people have to reckon with. Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me give a big shout out to a few. We got a few new faces on here, man, that I haven't seen. Tracy, man, hey, thanks for being here on the show. I see all the commentary he put in the chat. Yeah, Justin Herbert is in serious trouble as far as, I mean, some of the turnovers and stuff do come because of the pressure in the offensive line. And Tracy said that line gonna get Justin Herbert on the IR.
Or
I mean, he's been hurt and been playing hurt, man. But I just want to acknowledge when I see that here go Fred. Fred is Coach Nation, and Troy said he's shocked that the Chargers can't stop the run, which I am too,
I am
because I think that's one of the things that Jim Harbaugh or whichever the Harbaughs, I always get them mixed up.
Jim.
Is known for running and stopping and having a decent defense. And I was shocked, man. But I think that the coach let it be known that, hey, we are a team to be reckoned with in 2025.
No, you're right. You're right. And everything that we've said negatively about the Chargers doesn't mean that I don't think they're a good team. They are still a good team. It's just that out of this past 3 games, they've played 3 quality opponents, but at the same time, you would have thought they would have won at least 1 or possibly 2 of them because a couple of them was at home. And then that debacle in New York,
Hey, Fred,
that was giveaway.
Fred said his coach jersey is on the way.
His coach jersey. All right, Jeff Saturday is probably the jersey that he's gonna get. All right, man. So congrats to the coach. They're gonna continue to impress. Now, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, our favorite team to talk about that we want them to not be as successful as they are at times, but they have those glimpses of, we are going to be a force to be reckoned with in 2025. The Atlanta Falcons travel to San Francisco to take on an injury-prone, injury-ridden, injury-highlighted San Francisco team, but yet San Francisco defended home field. You disappointed with Atlanta, or this is just Atlanta, and this is what Atlanta's going to do? Or are you impressed with how San Francisco was able to muster up some gumption and beat an Atlanta team that many people thought were on the uptick?
I think many people thought Atlanta was because of how we seen them beat the Bills, and we thought we was going to see the same thing that we seen against the Bills on Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
But Shanahan got back to the basics. He said, "I don't have everybody, so what sense does it make to me to try to force something? Just put the ball in CMC hand and let him do what we paid him to do." And last night was the CMC show. CMC had over 200 yards from scrimmage for San Francisco last night, and their defense was able to bottle up Bijan. They did not allow Bijan to be a factor in this game. Matt Jones, he another one of those guys that just do what he need to do to win. He ain't flashy, but if you give him opportunities to pick you apart, which he did, this is what happened, man. The 49ers, a team that we thought, because I done got a whole bunch of memes and videos about, these jokers being broken, and it's funny as hell. I done sent it to all my 49er friends, but they still figure out a way to win. And I've never had no faith in the Falcons, man. My faith in the Falcons go all the way back to when they gave up that Super Bowl to the Patriots. I from that point on, Normally I say they good for 3 quarters, and then after that, fourth quarter, they fall apart, man. But I ain't gonna have no faith in the Falcons, man. I just don't see
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, I mean, for me, it's nothing about faith with the Atlanta Falcons. I've had this thing for the Atlanta Falcons since 1980, going all the way back to the day, month, and year I fell in love with the New Orleans Saints, and they saw ourselves with Archie Manning as our quarterback, and we had those days of misery in the 80s. But Atlanta Falcons was that arch rival, and they shall forever be my arch rival. But what I am gonna propose, if there are any Saints fans in the chat, Griff, ask that question, or if anybody says that they're a Saints fan, I'm going to pose this question that just popped into my head as you were talking about how impressed you are with the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy is the number one quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. We already know that the San Francisco 49ers have paid him $50+ million a year. Mac Jones has shown not only is he a worthy backup, but a quarterback that is going to be a hot commodity when it comes to the trade deadline this year, especially if Brock Purdy becomes healthy and returns to his starting role, right? So my question for the Who Dat Nation is, do we want to trade for Mac Jones? Because Spencer Rattler ain't it. Tyler Shaw, obviously, if he can't beat Spencer Rattler out, he ain't it either. Do we want to bring in this Alabama Crimson Tide to the Big Easy to see if he can do something to revitalize Kellen Moore, their favorite backup quarterback, and get him more than 3 wins this year? That'll be the poll question of the night. Should the Saints try to trade for Mac Jones?
Look, man. First of all,
He said,
I
first,
can't, I can't find a Saints fan nowhere. You the only Saints fan that I know that admit they're a Saints fan, man. All the
that is
Saints fans I
horrible.
know, all the other ones to put them bags back on their heads. They don't want nobody. They like ice. They don't want nobody to see their identity, man. But Tra- Tracy Tracy
Terrible.
Tracy Porter is on here, and Tracy said yes. It'll be a smart move. Again, I think it'll be okay. I mean, because or y'all when y'all just gonna go ahead and make Tyson Hill the permanent
Taysom Hill.
Tyson Hill the full time quarterback, man. I mean he
We
can't
should
be
have
no
did.
worse
We
than
should have did that at the beginning of the year, but I think he's been injured or hurt. So
he can't be no worse than Rattler.
no,
Man.
no.
I
And
remember when Rattler was a Heisman Trophy candidate and Caleb Williams come and take his job. Then he went to South Carolina. He was garbage down there, and I mean somebody just felt sorry for him and brought him into the league, man. But maybe if he sit behind a if he sit behind a good quarterback and go to a good system, he could end up being a Danny Dimes later, man. Sometimes it would just require. We look at all the teams that the quarterbacks and that reemerge here in late. We
mhm,
counted Baker Mayfield out.
mhm,
we counted Sam Darnold out.
mhm.
And we counted Geno out. He came back, but now we count him out again.
No, it just proves the added historical way to groom quarterbacks in the National Football League. They have to sit and learn. You will have that onesie or that twosie every couple of years that he can just step in on day one, pick up right where he left off in college, and have that success. Jaden Daniels was that guy last year. Will there be somebody coming into next year's draft that can be that way? Don't know. Highly doubted based on how we've seen quarterbacks in the college football ranks this year. But you're right. If a quarterback has the opportunity to learn by the time he hits 25, 26, 27, if he's still with that team like Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers have shown that there will be a huge leap in success. And yeah, I think Mac Jones does fit that bill and could quite possibly be a starting quarterback for somebody here next year. Or
Tracy,
um,
Tracy, Tracy say he's a system guy. He's a good plug and play guy, and
right now,
everywhere he done went in, he can't do you. He can't do you no harm.
you're
He a
right,
good.
right.
So
And I know this is not the same Tracy Porter, but Tracy Porter was the Saints cornerback that intercepted Peyton Manning to secure the one and only Super Bowl for the Who Dat Nation. So holla.
Yeah, 40
Shout
rounds.
out to you, Tracy.
40
And
rounds.
all right, man. Next game up on the docket, the Rams against the Jaguars. We both predicted this result, but I was a little surprised as to how easily the Rams took down the Jaguars and put them to bed. Matthew Stafford had a phenomenal game, 5 touchdown passes. Him and Devontae Smith hooked up a bunch of times, about 53 times. I don't know.
I
Five
don't know.
catches, 5 catches for 35 yards, but 3 touchdowns, all in the red zone. But the way that they were going up and down the field against a Jaguars team that started off somewhat hot, but as I mentioned about the Los Angeles Chargers have seemed to kind of taken a slide the past few weeks. And even though Travis Hunter got his first NFL touchdown in London, this was a complete debacle for the Jags, man. Are the Jags a mirage? Because they starting to look like one.
They ain't no mirage, man. They just who they always been. Look,
He said they've always been that way.
look, man. So on Friday, I asked the question: Should Travis be more on the offense on the defense? And so,
Mm-hmm.
and we found out that he has played more offensive snaps than he played defensive snaps. And this weekend, he actually had over 100 yards receiving, and he got his first touchdown. But this is one of the weeks that I think he should have been on the defensive side.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because look, hey, Stafford didn't really put up no big numbers, man. He only had 180 some yards passing. But the thing about it was, it's amazing what happens when your star player is gone and how the ball is spread around a lot more. Because yes, Devontae Adams had he had 3 touchdowns,
35 yards.
yeah. He didn't have that many yards, and I think he had like 3, 4 touchdowns. But
Mm-hmm.
what most impressed me is how Stafford spread that ball around to it's like 7 or 8 people touch the ball, man. I'm telling you, man. Sometimes I know we be wanting to have this one guy, girl, like you said, that alpha receiver out there. But these teams seem to function a whole lot better when that guy or girl is not on the field and the quarterback don't feel pressured to have to just get it to that one particular person. It seems like these offenses run a whole lot more efficient, if you ask me. And the Jaguars, man, again, I told you, Lawrence is not that guy. He's just not. He's been in the league. He is one of the guys that we didn't gave too many excuses for. Any other player would have been, people been like off with his head already. Lawrence been in that position, and I got it. He done had a few different offensive coordinators, a few different head coaches or whatever, but still, coming out of college football, like you said, they had named him the next Tom Brady. I have not seen that since he played in the league, brother. He's a turnover guy, and then they don't have a complimentary running game to go along with it, man. That Jaguar team looked like they did when they was an expansion team.
Yeah, I'll touch on Trevor Lawrence in a minute, but I have to push back against what you said when you mentioned sometimes a team has more offensive efficiency when the star number one receiver is out because the quarterback doesn't feel pressure to get him the ball constantly. And that probably does work for most teams, but I know the one exception to that rule is the Cincinnati Bengals because Chase can get the ball 20 times and T. Higgins is still balling. Because no matter who the quarterback is, whether it is Joe Burrow or in this instance, Joe Flacco, Cincinnati's offense is catered around throwing 40 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they are going to spread the ball out. Right. They are a pass happy team. They are a pass first.
Truly different system. Truly different system. The Rams actually had over 100 between Corum and Williams. They also put up 100 yards rushing too. So completely different system though. But like most teams, like the Cowboys and some of these other teams that we've seen in the past, hey, we got to force the ball to the previous down. If Puka Nacua is playing, most of the receivers want to see that ball like they seen this weekend. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And I was going to touch on Trevor Lawrence, but I'll just leave it at you're probably right that he has been too hyped for too long and given too many excuses. And well, let's give him another year. It's time for him to show and prove, and he has not done that. Now, this last game that I want to talk about, wrapping up the end of Week 7 for the National Football League, is the last game of the weekend, which was since the Seattle Seahawks welcoming the Houston Texans. Seattle did do what they were supposed to do and defend home field. We both picked them to win this game. How impressed are you with the Seahawks, and can they come out of the NFC West with three teams now sitting at 5-2, 5-2?
Man, I think it's gonna be. I think they had a team to do it, but yeah, it's gonna come. That one gonna come down to the wire, man. The way those teams are playing, they they had the Texans don't have no offense. They got 4 turnovers last night. They could have easily won this game, but because of the lack of offense over there on that side, man, it's what's hurting the Texans. I'm loving what I see with Donald. Man, Smith and Jigger had a game. Them Ohio State boys. I mean, you always talking about LSU is wide receiver, you man, but these Ohio State boys been showing out on all these teams as well. And Smith and Jigger, man, he is him. And he had a good game last night. They had a running back by committee last night. Charbonnet and Walker did their thing last night. But, man, if the Texans just had somewhat of an offense, and I can't put it all on C.J. Stroud. He just don't have nobody to get the ball to. They don't have – C.J. Stroud was the leading rusher for the Texans last night with 2 carries and 25 yards.
Wow.
Come on, man. 2 carries and 25 yards made him the leading rusher for that squad last night.
And Nico Collins got a concussion last night.
Nico Collins. So now you don't have Tank Dell. Stephon Diggs is gone. They traded away Mechie. They don't have nobody for him to even get the ball to if he wanted to throw the ball. Will Anderson them played pretty good last night on defense. Like I said, they had 4 turnovers, 2 interceptions, man. They even scored. The defense scored last night.
They did. Will Anderson. Sack,
fumble in the end zone.
Recovery, touchdown. Yeah.
They just have no offense.
No, you're right. But speaking specifically for Seattle, right? And I got it. Everything that Houston is enduring this season is basically a wash, simply because only one team out of the AFC South is going to get into the playoffs, and the Indianapolis Colts look like they're going to be that team this year. And the injuries are just too insurmountable for the Houston Texans. But looking at the Seattle Seahawks and their chances in the NFC West and how they stack up against the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams, it is a pick'ems, right? Because all three of these teams are built similarly. All three of these teams can beat you offensively, both in the air and on the ground, because they both have, or all three of them have, systems that can exploit a defense's gaps. And on the defensive side of their ball, they are all similar as well. All three of them have playmakers, both on the back end and in a linebacker position. Now, San Francisco has suffered more key injuries, right, to key defensive end and the leader on your team at the middle linebacker position. And will that eventually catch up with the 49ers? I think it will. CMC is number 1 option, 2 and 3 on offense. That will eventually catch up to him.
He went injury away. We know how injury prone he is.
Exactly, unfortunately. And when Puka Nacua returns back for the Rams, they're only going to get more proficient on offense. They're going to become better and betterer. So look for it to come down between the Los Angeles Rams and a healthy, well-balanced Seattle Seahawks team for the NFC West title. Looking forward to it. Now, great week 7. Awesome week 7. Had the comeback of all comebacks in week 7. I can only anticipate what week 8 is going to look like, and it kicks off right here on Thursday night with the Minnesota Vikings traveling to this very same Los Angeles Chargers. Mm-hmm. Now, for me, this game is a must-win game for both of these teams. Both of these teams have high expectations, even still today. Both of these teams were projected to be playoff teams. Both of these teams were projected to be competitors for the title in their conference. But both of these teams have suffered key injuries at key points throughout this season. This is a make it or break it game for the Chargers for me. If you can't defend home field consecutive weeks in a row, multiple weeks in a row, then you are definitely not going to make it to the playoffs. And the Kansas City Chiefs are going to chew you up and spit you out as a division, and the Denver Broncos for that matter. But for the Minnesota Vikings, Carson Wentz, man, what's up? JJ McCarthy, is the ankle still hurt? Are you really hurt? Because
Hey,
you were the number three option last week if
say
you needed you to play.
if he could be the number three, yeah, if he could be the number three option, bro, he could play.
He
I'm
can play.
sorry. I'm sorry. If he can suit up, if he
He
can
can
suit up, he can
play.
play.
Exactly.
And so, for me, I think this is a must win more so for the Chargers than it is for the Vikings. For all the reasons what we talked about, because of who the quarterback is for the Chargers. The Vikings don't have their starting quarterback playing, but the one per team that do is Justin Herbert, and people expect way more from them the way they start out or whatever. I will say, man, but the Vikings, you don't know which Carson Wentz you're gonna get when you get down there, or even if he's gonna be starting this week. He can get the ball to people, and they got one of the best kickers in the game, other than what we have with the Cowboys. Will White, hey, Will Riker is still putting up them scores like he did at the University of Alabama. Like I said, they was in the red zone 6 times. Will Riker had 15 points this week. He kicked the ball 15 times, man. That's crazy. And he had more than that if you talk about extra points. But I think this is more of a must win for the Chargers than it is for the Vikings, because they can easily say, hey, I started quarterback ain't play, so it's Carson Wentz back there. But the Chargers got to win this one, like you said, being at home. And I'm gonna go ahead and give my pick now, man. I think Carson Wentz, believe it or not, all I just said, I did a Drew and pivot, but I think the Vikings gonna go down there and win this game.
You
And
and me
it's
both.
because of that offense that Tracy talked about, the offensive line. Flores is gonna let them boys. He tired of hearing all this bull crap. I'm just gonna have to put it on the defense.
Let them eat. Yes, I agree, man. The Vikings gonna go in and give the Chargers another L, and the questions are now going to shift to what is wrong with Justin Herbert? Is he not able to grasp Jim Harbaugh's offense? Blah 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 blah. And then the excuse is that they're an injury riddled team. They've lost key position or key players at key positions, and they'll eventually get it right. Yet another year down the drain for the Los Angeles Chargers. Make it or break it. This weekend is your weekend to prove that you are still going to be competitive. But me and Griff both got you going down at home. Oh man, from Heartbreak Sunday to Damn It Saturday. Forgive me. Man, this weekend was filled with some very good football, some very tight football, some games that are, I'm not surprised anymore by who wins or who loses. The number two ranked team in the country has lost almost every week this year. So being ranked number two is not necessarily a good thing. Watch out, Indiana. Miami went down as we were on air Friday night to Louisville. And then Saturday, starting off with this big game, you had the fourth ranked or the fifth ranked Ole Miss Rebels traveling to Athens, Georgia, in between the hedges to take on the ninth ranked Georgia Bulldogs. We both picked Georgia, or did you pick Ole Miss on Friday? Which one?
I'm gonna say I picked Ole Miss, man. I want to say I did. I
Well,
can't.
we both knew it was going to be a competitive game, right? We knew it was going to come down to the end. I think you did pick Ole Miss, supporting Lane Kiffin and his offensive philosophy. I'm right there with you, but I thought in between the hedges that Georgia defense was going to eventually show up and do what they do every weekend, come from behind. They did it again this weekend, come from behind. But turnovers played a big part in this game. You surprised at the outcome?
I was, man, because again, Ole Miss dominated this game, the first half of the game, man. I said Kirby did that old rope a dope, man. He did old Ali rope a dope, sat, leaned on the ropes, and let Ole Miss get tired. I took Ole Miss because of Lane Kiffin, but I forgot who his defensive coordinator was. He used to be the Alabama defensive coordinator, the same dude that was garbage the last 2 seasons under Nick Saban. I'm like, but you know what? It was like that first. three quarters, man, Chambliss could do no wrong, man. That boy was on all cylinders. But that fourth quarter, Kirby just, and being a defensive minded guy that Kirby is, he was able to make the adjustments. That kid didn't do nothing in the fourth quarter. And Kirby done ran that ball down their throat. It ended up coming back, winning that game. And it was because of his ability to make the adjustments, man. So, hey, kudos to those Georgia Bulldogs. They bend, but they don't break, and they always figure out a way. I definitely wasn't expecting it to be this type of a. I was expecting them 43 points if anybody Ole Miss, because we know Lane can put the points up. I was definitely not expecting that from Georgia. Not the way they've been playing this year on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you in that aspect that Georgia having a offensive explosion of some sorts was a little surprising. I expected a lower scoring game because of the Georgia defense and their ability to stop teams that have a lot of offensive success, unless your name is Alabama. But I'm not surprised with the outcome, right? Because home field means a lot, especially in the Southeastern Conference. And your ability
Especially
to
Alabama.
accept, for when Alabama go to Georgia, it does provide you with a slight edge most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, it does provide you with a slight edge. And Georgia is going to be one of those teams that you can depend on to be right there in late December or late November competing for the SEC championship, depending on how their schedule shakes out. So both of these teams are going to continue to have big games this upcoming weekend and subsequent weekend. So the ride isn't over. It only gets better. Now, pause, gather your thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to keep it a buck with you and say that not only is this next game's quarterback the leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy, Mr. Simpson, in my book, but he is head and shoulders above everybody else in the national or in the NCAA. I know Indiana is undefeated; they're ranked number 2. Their quarterback has performed phenomenally, but he's had one big game thus far this year. And Simpson has led Alabama after that opening season, the season opener loss against Florida State, on a 6-game win streak against very good teams. Have beaten 4, at the time, undefeated teams in 4 consecutive weeks. And then taking on another very good SEC team in the Tennessee Volunteers this weekend and kind of control this game. The score wasn't really indicative of how dominant Alabama was, in my opinion. Y'all just might have something going on down there in Tuscaloosa, man. How proud are you of Coach DeBoer? Come
Hey,
on, this
I
Tuesday.
am, man. He has truly weathered all the naysayers, to include myself, because I ain't gonna sit up here in front. Some people won't, but I know that I was giving him the business, especially after the Florida State game and
Mm-hmm.
how the culture at the University of Alabama changed. And I think some things, if it ain't broke, why we trying to fix it? But I would tell you the way he didn't gather these kids together, man, and the way these kids is playing, man, it just blow my mind. If I had one area that I really want him to look at, though, man, our running game. We don't have a running game, and all it's going to take is something to happen to tie. Now, what I am comfortable in is the 2 quarterbacks that's behind them. Either one of them can come in and spit that ball the exact same way. The receiving core we got, man, it's the same receiving core that Jalen Miro had last year. He just couldn't throw the ball to them. And that's the difference between this team right now. Yeah, you can do your mouth like that, but Bernard was there last year. Williams was there last year. All these guys were sitting over there on that sideline, but we was running first. That's all we thought about. Jalen run and throw a long ball. But the defense is playing a lot better this year. Tennessee blew my mind when they didn't kick that field goal and tried to go for it on the goal line after they ran the ball 3 times in a row on the 1-yard line and couldn't score. And
Yeah,
that pick six was the heartbreaker right there.
yeah, it was. It was. That was. It was at that point that I decided to change the channel and start looking at the Notre Dame game. I was like, man, this some BS.
It was
Which
it,
was a very good game. So we're gonna talk
it
about
reminded me of Russell Wilson in the Super Bowl, man.
you and me both, man. That's the first thing that popped into my head as soon as it happened. But hey, que sera. A few more big games for both of these teams. Looking forward to the first Saturday in November. It's probably not going to end well for me on that day, but hey, I'm always looking forward to that head-to-head matchup with Alabama. So, congratulations to the team that starts with A, ends with E. All right, go Tide. Hey, this next one, man, was a very interesting game for a while, right? Even though Notre Dame ended up pulling away and kind of putting their stamp on this one. And I was actually impressed with Notre Dame because, again, I'm taking those first two L's into consideration as to who you gave those two L's to. The Miami Hurricanes and the Texas A&M Aggies. Coming into this weekend, the second ranked and the fourth ranked team in the country. So those two L's are respectable. So you're expected as Notre Dame to win out your games to legitimately be in the conversation for a college football playoff spot. The ranking at 13 as a two-loss team, I can understand that too, even a little bit. But what I was impressed by was how well they played under the prime time lights at home against a USC team that, granted, you know, defenses aren't a big thing on the left coast, but we know that the coach is an offensive minded guy. And know that he's going to be able to bring a team that is competitive. Were you impressed with Notre Dame? And it looks like we're going to be talking about them for a while. So,
Well, we both talked about Notre Dame had to win this game. They don't have a conference championship game, so in
no.
order for them to be in the talk about being in the 12-team playoff, they can't afford to lose a game. But again, Notre Dame play that old school football, man. Them two running backs they got over there with Price and Love, man. Them guys they comprise over 300 yards rushing on USC. So if you can play a little defense and you running the ball 300 some yards rushing in the game, that means you really controlling the flow of the game. And so not surprised because again, those two L's that you talked about between Miami and Texas, those ranked teams. So even though they took those two L's actually helped them out. Unless Miami and Texas A&M start to fold on the back end, those two L's helped them out, man. So kudos to Notre Dame. They needed to win this game if they wanted to keep their playoff hopes. I like their coach, and I'm looking. I mean, I really want to see them go far. And I love to see them play Alabama in the playoffs because they just don't have a history of beating Alabama in the playoffs. It's going to be a blowout. They make it to the playoffs, and then they get their head bust. So
And they lose 44-3. Yeah.
but
But no,
last time we played them in the championship game was against your head coach that we're gonna be talking about here shortly.
yeah. And before we move on to that,
And it was fake.
huh?
And
Hey,
they was fake.
Coach Freeman has this team locked in. I believe that if Notre Dame stays healthy, that they will make the college football playoffs because one, their fan base is independent. It travels no matter where they are. They have their own daggone network with NBC, right? Exclusivity. They don't need a conference championship. They just have to be there in the end with a 10-2 record. Those two L's at the beginning of the season, like we both said, two teams that are going to be there in the end. So, and I don't believe that Texas A&M is going to take an L this weekend because they are playing my Tigers. Now, speaking of my Tigers, we traveled up from Baton Rouge, the Red Stick, to Nashville, Tennessee to take on a 5-1 Vanderbilt Commodores team that everybody now knows since the arrival of Pavia that these are not your uncles, your cousins, your friends, your brothers, your mamas, your daddies, your papas, your mamas, Commodores, right? They played football in Nashville, and you have to show up every single weekend and make sure that you put your best foot forward, no matter who you are traditionally in the SEC, to earn that dub. LSU traveled with a game plan that again reminded me of Les Miles. Again, reminded me as to why the highest paid public servant in the state of Louisiana, $10.1 million base salary, Brian Kelly, Brian Kelly failed to prepare for a team that he knew was not only eager to play you because you or they had not beaten LSU since 1990, but were cocky, confident, boisterous about welcoming in the LSU Tigers, who's supposed to be a national powerhouse, who Griff, dare I say, are capital SOFT. Sierra Oscar Foxtrot Tango. Soft. Because of your lack of leadership, coach. Finally, the LSU alumni, the LSU boosters have finally gotten on board and realized that 4 seasons as a top paid coach at one of the top schools in the SEC and a national presence without a college football playoff appearance is a fireable offense. And Brian Kelly, sir, you shall be fired because after taking an L against a team that you should have beat, you got to play Texas A&M this weekend, who is the third-ranked team in the country. You still got to play Alabama in the first weekend of November. So I'm counting possibly 2 more L's. And 8-4 is not going to do it, good sir. That is unworthy of wearing the purple and gold. I talked about a couple of weeks ago of how piss poor you are as a leader of men and how you are supposed to be there to bring young men into society. Forget about football. You obviously are failing at football, and you definitely failed at the leadership aspect. So, deuces, 2-2. As soon as the season is over, I guarantee that you shall be bought out. It's going to be an expensive buyout, $53 million. I'll give up my little $20 to add to the kitty. So we can send you on your happy way. You are just not SEC material. You are not definitely not LSU material. You just don't understand the culture. You don't embrace the culture in a way to ensure that everybody is part of the family. More familia. But no, you come with your fake accents. You come with your fake table banging. My guy, the table bang, Griff. I didn't even talk about the game.
Look, man. Hey, I was letting you. It was obvious that you needed to get some stuff off your chest. So,
Man,
hey,
I am disappointed,
hey,
man, because this is an $18 million roster.
look, man. Hey, what Nick Saban said, you can pay all the money you want. He said that about Ohio. Nick said it. Look, man. Let me tell you something, man. I just want to let you get that stuff off your chest, but it looked like you had a lot of pent up stuff. That's been like sitting on you all weekend, and I needed you to get it off your chest.
Oh my god.
Hey, what I will say is, Vandy played a ball control game. They had the ball almost 20 more plays than LSU did. They didn't come out there trying to. They stick to what Vandy do best. They ran the ball. They kept drives going. They put defense on your Heisman Trophy quarterback.
He
And
said, my husband.
hey, and here's the thing, man. This is when you know, hey, they didn't even storm the field after the game, man. That's
That's
when you
disrespectful. That's disrespectful because they expected to win. I got it. They were favored by 2 points, but they were expected to win. And that is like, wow, my goodness. And Brian Kelly standing there like,
oh man, because when a team be Alabama, man, hey, you better watch yourself because goalposts coming down and everything. But
oh my goodness.
Vanda ain't even them jokers like, hey, just another day at the park when they play.
Man, that is so wrong. Hey, it's all good. Go Tigers. LSU forever. We shall be back. I understand that we are underperforming right now for a variety of reasons. And I'm going to say this offensive coordinator, you are definitely gone because you just brought Les Miles's playbook out of the daggone repository and just dusted it off. It's like, forget the playmakers that we have on the field. I know we got injuries, but come on, my guy. If you don't know how to spread the ball around and utilize my Heisman quarterback, right? Because he does have a cannon for an arm. He can get the ball down the field. You're just not calling the right plays. Now, enough
Well,
about Joe Tiger.
let me ask you this right fast before we close it out, man. So if he should leave at the end of the season, if he should leave, who do you see coming in there and bringing back that LSU five back? Nick Saban is not coming out of retirement, so you can't ask Nick to come back. But who do you see coming that could possibly bring that Tiger spirit back to Baton Rouge?
You know who my number one candidate will be?
Charlie Strong?
Hell no. Lane Kiffin.
Oh, man. I don't know about that, man.
Kiffin.
Why would Lane leave Ole Miss to come up there and deal with the roots and jokers putting spirits on them and stuff in LSU?
Because his daughter gonna be living down there in a little bit.
Hey man, they already they already said Florida putting in his ear right now, so we'll see.
Hey,
Lane Kiffin would be good for any to bring y'all back to receiver you and to get that offense going. You already know that.
yeah, and Lane Kiffin has the bravado. He doesn't necessarily need the credentials as a defensive guru, say like Nick Saban. He has the bravado to be able to go into any home throughout the SEC's stomping ground and sell his program. He's shown it. The proof is in the pudding. Him coming to LSU would give LSU that edge again, in my opinion. But conversation for a later day if that ever becomes a possibility. But that would be
Lane
one option.
Lane is funny. I love hearing Lane talk. They was talking about Lane and Kirby and talking about who was in the best shape. Lane said, "I don't know, but I looked at this recent interview. It looked like he in that much shape to me." Lane don't care, man. Hey, if you have not watched that documentary on Lane it's either on Netflix or it's on ESPN. I want to say it's a 30 for 30 or whatever on Lane, man. It's pretty good. If you don't have an understanding of Lane, man, you need to go check it out. It's actually a pretty good one.
Yeah. He is a combination of the Steve Spurrier offensive spirit, where it's go, 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 but the defensive mentality and aggressiveness and bravado as a Nick Saban, just in a younger package. So, yeah, he would be my guy if that option were to become available between Florida and LSU. LSU, in my opinion, I got it. I'm a diehard fan. I see it from a colored lens, but LSU is a more prestigious job than the Florida Gator position. At this point in the two schools' glide path in the SEC. So if that were to become a bidding war between the two schools for Lane Kiffin, if he would be identified, I would be very happy to see how that plays out. But it is what it is. I'm stuck with Brian Kelly at least until he loses to Alabama. If he loses two more games before the end of the year, hopefully the chancellor will call him to the red carpet and say, thank you for your services. They are no longer required. You've just won yourself a brand new hall. Hit the door. We'll pay you $53 million.
Troy said you can get Chip Kelly.
Who?
Chip Kelly.
Who?
So no Kellys at all. You don't want Chip? Chip an offensive minded dude, man.
Who? Man, if you don't stop.
All right.
No. Chip Kelly, Brian Kelly, Orange Kelly. No. All right, man. Great college football weekend. Great show. Before we do log off, though, I want to throw two quick games about this upcoming weekend at you, and in 30 seconds or less for each one. The Packers are traveling to the Steelers to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 4-2. But this is the Aaron Bowl, the AA Round Bowl, where uh, the new face of the franchise is taking on the old face of the franchise. Is this a revenge game for Aaron Rodgers, or is just we here to play and win the game? And what do they have to do to beat the Pack?
Hey man, it is a revenge. I mean, he can say it ain't a revenge game. Anytime you leave from one team and now you playing your old team, some revenge or trying to get back is always there. I would tell you, man, Pittsburgh just need to keep on doing what they doing because the Packers, man, they was unimpressive to me this weekend against a Chargers. I mean, against a Cardinals team. I mean, the Packers is not looking like what we thought they was, in the beginning of the season. So I think he continued to feed that ball to Metcalf, get Warren running that ball. Let's see and let Love come out there and make a mistake like he do because whatever reason they forget that they got Josh Jacobs back there running the ball. I think they're gonna be okay. I think it's gonna be a pretty good game.
No, you're right. It is going to be a very good game. It's going to be centered around Aaron Rodgers and the whole departure story. We paid him $50 million to go away, just about, when they traded him to the Jets, or him committing, non-committing, being committal, non-committal, and all this other good stuff. But it's going to boil down to whether or not the Pittsburgh defense actually shows up and represents like we are the Pittsburgh defense of old, and are able to stop a run game with Josh Jacobs, and pick our opportunities with a Jordan Love who has a tendency or propensity to be aggressive and could possibly throw some interceptions. So the Pittsburgh defense is the difference maker for me in this game. Whether or not they can create turnovers, whether or not they can put consistent pressure on Jordan Love, and that will be a huge factor in determining who the winner of this game is. So we'll talk more about this game on Friday. I am looking forward to this game on the weekend. This is going to be one of those big ones, not only for the media hype surrounding the quarterback, but because both of these two teams are still trying to prove that they are who they say they are. You said you're not impressed with the Steelers. You're right. I'm not either.
No,
I'm
the
not
Green
impressed
Bay. I'm not impressed with Green
with
Bay.
the Packers. I'm not impressed with either one of them, to be honest. And this game is going to be able to tell whether or not that team, whether it be the Steelers or the Packers, are going to be able to make that leap. Now, this next one, man, is a prove it game for me, right? We talked about how impressive the Dallas Cowboys offense is. We know how good they are, number one team in the NFL. But to me, this game is, can the Cowboys prove to the rest of the NFL that not only are we good on offense, but our defense is making that slow turn to improvementville with Uberfleet, and we can go into Denver and win against a quality team. What does the Cowboys defense have to do to slow down a Sean Payton and young Denver offense that can create points, right? To give the Cowboys of being a chance to be competitive, one, and then two, come out of Denver with a dub next weekend.
You just said it, man. The defense got to play the exact same way they just played this past weekend against the Commanders. I
Hmm.
don't think that the Broncos have the offensive firepower to go toe for toe with Dak Prescott and that offense. But if the defense don't come out there and play, it's going to be a problem. I need to see the defense do the exact. You already know Sean Payton is going to try to put some pressure and have some schemes for that, but it's just too many weapons over there right now for them. But what I need to see is that the defense go out there and be able to stop Bo Nix. We know Bo Nix has been pretty good, but if we can shut that run down and put pressure on Bo Nix like we just did with Jalen Daniels and the Commanders, yeah, I think it's going to be a long day for the Broncos.
Long day for the Broncos. Okay. I feel you on that. I mean, I'm looking forward to this game too, and the same approach that I took in the Steelers Packers game, I'm gonna take in this game. The difference maker in this game is going to be the Broncos' defense. We talk about offense put points on the board, but defense wins championships. This is one of those games where your defense has to make a statement. This is one of those games where your defense says, "Not in my house." This is one of those games where you have the opportunity to create your own legacy as a Denver Broncos team. We are a defense led team. We shut down the number one ranked offense in the National Football League by limiting whatever points that Dak is going to be able to accumulate. I think the Denver Broncos defense is going to have to be the difference maker. The Bo Nix led offense got it. They're not as good as the Dallas offense. They're not going to be able to keep up point for point with Dallas. But if the defense is limiting Dallas's point output, then quite possibly the Denver Broncos could walk out of there with a dub, because this is a toss-up game in reality. But we'll talk more about this game on Friday.
I'm looking forward to it, man. All I know is they just gave up 30 points to Scatterboo and Dart. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Scatterboo and Dart ain't Dak and Pitt. But like you said, we'll talk more about this on Friday.
Scatterboo and Dart, though, is Week 7 New York Giants the same as the Week 6 New York Giants, right? Because they did put up 30 against a very good Denver defense. They beat the Philadelphia Eagles. They playing them again this weekend. If they do beat the Eagles this upcoming weekend, bro, we gotta change the narrative completely about the G-Man.
I already told you. Man. The Eagles defense, and we'll talk about it on Friday, but the Eagles defense has not been something to be excited about. Like I said, Minnesota was in the red zone 6 times, brother.
Bend but don't break.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But all right, man, phenomenal show. Great engagement, I guess, within the chat that you were able to monitor and feedback. Sorry that we are experiencing, or we did experience, those technical difficulties for everybody. But hey, y'all know what it is. It be what it be sometimes. So you just have to adapt to the situation and the environment that you're in. So that's what we did. Griff, you got any parting shots for everybody?
Hey, again, man, big shout out to Tracy, man. Tracy, it's the first time I seen you on here. I mean, you might have been on here before, but you stayed with us the whole time, my brother. So I truly appreciate you. You still on here putting on comments now. But big shout out to all of the Roundtable crew. Y'all always with us, regardless if we got technical difficulties or not. I always can count on Troy. I always can count on Fred. Karen was here. Adrian even popped up at the end, as well as Harold and many of Miles was even here. So I just want to say thank y'all for always continuing to support us. And I look forward to seeing everybody back here on Friday so we can talk about this weekend upcoming games.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And again, I echo Griff's comments. Tracy, I appreciate the support. I'm pretty sure you're the same Tracy that I served with back at Fort Polk way back in the day. So good looking out, my brother. Continued support. Karen, I heard you was looking for me. Had something to say to me about my LSU Tigers taking that big L. I got you. We took that L. Shout out to the Georgia Bulldogs this past weekend. So good job on that. Appreciate the support that you've all provided, as Griff mentioned throughout this episode. Could have been anywhere, but you decided to spend a little bit of time with he and I for the past 90 minutes. Great weekend of football. Great weekend of football coming up. The games only become a little bit more important each and every weekend, as they do every single year. But it just seems that 2025 is that year where nothing can be counted upon to be a guarantee, as Mr. Barkley loves to say. Any team is susceptible to taking an L. I do not believe that there is going to be a undefeated team in college football coming out of the national championship. There are just far too many good teams. There is just far too much parity for any team to be dominant, especially in the Big Four conferences. So being able to go through your conference unscathed, you really have to be a very good team. And I don't think there are any dominant teams in college football in 2025. So I'm looking forward to that continuing on. And of course, in the National Football League, the games only become better more important, and a little bit more exciting because we got kickers kicking 60, 65, even 70-yard kicks. So
So
no game is.
I'm glad I got one of them kickers.
Yes, yes. And you have one of the very few that can possibly make a 70-yard field goal if given the opportunity, and the coach having the nerve and gumption to actually go for it in a regular season game. So it's coming. It is coming at some point indoors, at some point, possibly this weekend in Denver. Possibly this weekend in Denver between the Cowboys and the Denver Broncos at that altitude. So we shall see. But great weekend of football past. Great weekend of football ahead. Y'all have a safe and a blessed week. We shall be back here on Friday night to predict this upcoming weekend's games and to share our insights about what's going on both in the NCAA and NFL. So y'all take care of yourselves this upcoming week. Do something nice for yourself. Please take care of your family and do something nice for your family if possible. And if given the opportunity, please do something nice for someone that you may not even know, because it just might be the best thing to happen to him or her or them on that particular day. Y'all stay safe. Y'all stay blessed. Y'all be breezy.